Good evening and welcome to Main Street Sports here. Ray Halbrook. We are live virtually today just because of the crazy weather we've been having here. And we're going to have a really good Main Street Sports show. I do have my good friend, Mr. Jeff Whitener. We're going to bring him in right here. Jeff, how you doing, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ray. I'm alive.
I'm right. Alive. That's
just
okay.
Want to show everybody proof of life.
Yep.
You know,
got a good show. Tell us how things are going to go tonight.
For a while, but I'm itching to get back.
Mm-hmm. Go right ahead.
Well, today we've got two gentlemen that I'm sure we're all very familiar with. We have Mr. Riley Blair, head coach of the Herculaneum Lady Black Cats here, who have won their second straight conference title in the JCA small schools. And we're going to talk to Riley about the season and preview the districts a little bit. We're also very pleased to have Coach Chris Miller, head coach of the St. Pius Lancers, on, coming off a fresh victory over conference rival Jefferson last week in a game we had right here on Livestream STL South. Really well-played game all the way around. And we're going to talk to the coach, another impressive record this year, made all the more impressive by the fact of some of the key components he had graduating last year. So both of these coaches, I feel, have done an excellent job with the personnel that they have this year. And gentlemen, before we get started, here it is. We're getting seating and we're trying to ramp up for district play here. You both might have had one or two warm-up games, tune-up games ready to go before district competition, and here we're stuck in the middle of a snowstorm. How does that affect how you communicate with your players? Obviously, it's the same for everybody. They're going to have to deal with it. But what are you guys doing right now to stay in touch with your players and explain to them what they need to do to try to prepare in case practice is limited between now and Saturday? Chris, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, I use a lot of the social media stuff to communicate with not only my players but their parents, and we try to utilize that as much as we can. Try to get as much information as we can out there. I feel like I've sent so many emails this year, depending on if it's been the quarantines, schedule changes, practice changing because of whatever happening and stuff. So I've been very fortunate that we haven't had any major issues that's come with that. It's just something that we understand as part of the game, especially having a winter sport. And this season's obviously been a little bit different when you add COVID-19 stuff into it as well. But outside of a few things, I mean, we use GroupMe, we use Facebook, we'll use Twitter, we'll use anything we can, and obviously email. And it's worked pretty well for us.
Is it a situation where as you start to form your game plan for Saturday, that you're able to talk to individual players if you're not able to meet and practice a whole bunch and say, okay, this is what we're going to try to do. This is who I might have you guard. This is what we might run offensively, defensively, or are you going to save that for game day, or if you get a practice in before?
Well, I mean,
game day?
Honestly, Jeff, if I have to, I'm going to plow a road out to the school, and we're going to have practice before we play. I'm not a big fan of having time off before we play and not have any practice. That happened to us last year after we beat Whitfield, which was a good win for us. Give the kids the weekend off, and then Sunday night it snowed, and we didn't get back in the gym, and we ended up playing a good Park Hill Central team that beat the snot out of us. So not having practice over 4 days, it's not very conducive to success. So we'll find a way to get the kids in the gym and try to get up and down if we can, get a sweat going, and obviously talk about the team that we have to play in McKinley, which will be a tough team because it's a city school. You're not really sure the kids that they have eligible or anything like that because especially with having COVID and being virtual and all the stipulations that they've had to go through, and they've only played 8 games. So finding film has been kind of difficult as well too. But At the same time, we'll have our kids as prepared as we can, and trust me, we'll have practice before we play on Saturday.
And if Coach Miller finds a way Coach Blair, I mean, he can come right up the road there on 61, 67 and help get your
I got 4-wheel drive for you, Riley.
Gym prior to districts.
We're I guess you could say fortunate or unfortunate this year. And fortunate in this sense that we moved up to Class 4 this year. Class 4 districts don't start till the following Saturday. So we'll get an extra weekend here, hopefully, pending any more weather, maybe to get a game and or a couple practices in before we play on the 27th. So, we're kind of fortunate with that being said on that end of it, but maybe a little bit unfortunate that we moved up to Class 4 and, But, I mean, it's been the last week and a half has been kind of a little bit wishy-washy anyway because, we had 2 conference games last week and we just found a way to get them in, trying to get them in before the snow hit this week. They were scheduled to play last week, and we just kind of rearranged the schedule to get them all in so we could get conference games in.
Right. It's an interesting situation right now. It's been a while since we've had multiple days off in a row due to the weather, and then had a little ice last week, and now we're dealing with a little snow this week. But is there anything, Coach Blair, that you do? I mean, when you contact your players, and I'm not sure if you use social media like Coach Miller does, or you connect with them, but are you encouraging them to stay active? Is there a fear that they're going to, it doesn't take long to get out of game shape if you're not in the gym every single day?
It's a little different this year with all these COVID restrictions. You tell them to stay active, you tell them to get out and do something, or whatever. But at this point, you're kind of on that fence where, hey, you go out and tell them to go outside a little bit, maybe just do some kind of moving around or whatever. But, just try to get the kids to kind of stay some kind of active, some kind of, agility, something they can do inside their house, just to stay active and stay loose. You sitting around the house for 5 or 6 days, you get tight in your muscles, you don't use some things, and then that's more opportunity for injury.
Absolutely, and that leads me right into our next question. And we'll start with Coach Miller because he plays this Saturday. How's the overall health of your team right now, without mentioning names? But are you going to be 100% ready to go this Saturday? We've talked about McKinley only having so many eligible players, but how does your strength look in your bench?
Well, I think outside of maybe one player, we're going to have our full squad available to us. Knock on wood. Hang on, there's some. I really don't have any issues with health right now, unless some of the kids were outside sledding today and got sick that I know of. My own health, I had a little cough here going for the last 4 or 5 days, but other than that, the kids are healthy. No major injuries or anything like that, and we should be good to go.
Just the normal bumps and bruises
That's
that you get towards this part in the season, I would assume. Coach Blair, what about your ladies? How are they doing over there?
We had a couple kids that were injured and came back. A couple players that one kind of turned her ankle a little bit, and then the other one was coming off of a concussion. So we were able to get them back this week on Saturday, and it was nice to be kind of at about 95%, and hopefully this little bit of time off will help those situations and be able to get back to 100%. And, hopefully we'll be able to play Thursday, weather permitting tomorrow, what that happens with. We're supposed to play up at Oakville on Thursday, and so hopefully we get that one in. But I don't know as far as that goes, but you're just hoping that the kids are staying healthy at home, and doing the right things there and taking care of themselves.
Absolutely. And we want to kind of move on now and talk about the season a little bit, guys. We'll start with Riley. 14-9 overall record this year, and that's with playing some very stiff competition, especially early in the season, non-conference games. As you said, you've got at least one game left on the schedule. I don't know if you're going to be able to squeeze in 2 or not, but a perfect 5-0 run in conference this year, as I mentioned. The second year in a row, the conference champions. Coach, take us through the season a little bit. I mean, obviously it's been a different, challenging year, but what's this means to you and your team to personally, on a personal level, to win the
has been a
conference
very
championship
difficult,
again?
challenging year as far as all the things that we've had to deal with, and our kids have been very, very agile with this, whole COVID restrictions and everything that they've been dealing with, and I could say a lot about our kids, and they've been taking care of themselves, doing the right things when they're in the classroom, out of the classroom, at home, whatever it may be. Just taking care of the little things, and that's kind of the mentality of our team this year, is just kind of taking care of those little things, because when you take care of the little things, sometimes the big things take care of themselves. And so, we've been very fortunate with that. You talked about it, our schedule. We started out the year on a very difficult schedule. Having no off-season preparation. Starting a brand new point guard, a couple of kids that maybe hadn't had a lot of varsity experience in the starting lineup. Had a girl that was tore ACL last year, wasn't able to play with us in our starting lineup as well. So you got a lot of unknowns. And the first few games we didn't have much of a chance. We started out with Sykeston, St. Jen, St. Clair. So I mean, those are three very good programs, very good teams, and we kind of took a little bit of a hit early,
Sure.
but I kept telling our kids, stay through the process, and we've battled. We played some really good basketball teams, in our tournament, at the Doe Run tournament, as well as the Lutheran South tournament, and then again at the Hillsboro tournament. So we have not taken our schedule very kindly, I guess you could say, but at the same point, we've done a really good job with our schedule as far as competing. I think that's one of the things that I try to do with our schedule, is put us in a chance to compete a little bit at a higher level, just to kind of get our kids used to that concept. And, we've been doing this schedule for about 4 years now. And, I think our kids have taken to it. When we step out on the floor, we're looking at competing with every team we try to play. And so I think our kids have bought into that. And to me, that's one of the most important things. And, if you'd have told me that we were going to be 14-9 with 2 games left to play, I'd probably told you that I was shooting for a 500 record. And so, that's tap off to my kids. I mean, they've put the time in, they've done the right things, they've done the little things, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks and see what these young ladies can take care of and do.
Excellent. And that's why it's so nice to have both of you on today, because when I look at both of your seasons, Coach Miller and Coach Blair, and the players that you had to replace, that's why I think that the job that you and your staffs have done has been even more remarkable this season. In fact, you mentioned having to replace your starting point guard, and it's a challenge that Coach Miller knows all too well this year, and what he had to do in replacing his starting point guard. And even with that, and with the loss of Riley Nager to graduation, and Josh Rubel and some of the other pieces of the puzzle for the Lancers, they still had an overall record of 12-4 this year, which is excellent. At this point, you were supposed to have a game, obviously, with Borgia, and that's out the window. So, do you have any other games scheduled at all, Coach Miller, before the district?
No, we
Saturday?
don't. We Borgia was our last game that we had as a regular season game, and we kind of left that part of the week open in case we have any snow makeups with our conference schedule or anything like that. It's kind of by design, and we went ahead and tried to fill in as many games as we could for February. I think at one point between January, I think the Bruce Thomas tournament, and the first week of February, we had like 3 straight weeks of 3 games a week. So we tried to fill our games. We have lost 3 of them to snow and inclement weather, but at the same time, we've also lost 2 tournaments to COVID. So we are down on a number of games. Obviously, what I'd like to be able to play when the kids be able to play, but we tried to make the best of things.
Well, and that's why it's even more remarkable to me that you were able to make the improvements with your team that you were able to do this year, and playing so many less games than you have in the past. And certainly your winning percentage is right there, if not even higher than it was last year. finished second in the conference once again. Although we're going to say you finished first in the JCAA small schools of Jefferson County. We're going to say that.
I mean, I'd like for it to be that way, but and congratulations to Coach Blair and the Herculaneum Lady Black Cats. That's a pretty cool deal going back to back, winning the conference. I've had back-to-back finishing second place to the St. Vincent Indians and Coach Valroy, who has done a good job down there, obviously, for literally the last 3 or 4 decades. He says 3. I think he's been there 4. I don't want to take anything away, considering they are in Perry County and they're not in Jefferson County. But that's a conversation for people who make more than I do.
Right.
We'll play them. They're on our schedule. But no, we've had an interesting year. Like you said, playing fewer games, having to replace, I think what Matt Schutte said was 95% of our scoring, and losing such quality kids. Obviously, the point guard position, as Coach Blair knows, it's an extremely difficult position to put any kid in, and especially replacing a quality one like Caden Cook. And Caden was a fantastic point guard for us last year and the year before, obviously, for Coach Lawrence. And having 3 kids that are playing college ball, had the opportunity to play college ball this year, or trying to play college ball with all the issues they're all going through. And having all those kids on one team, I was just very blessed and fortunate to be a part of it and had the opportunity to coach such fine kids last year. And this year it was interesting coming in because we really didn't know what we had with all those guys coming back, how we would mesh, what roles certain guys would fill. And as I've said it many, many times, and I'll continue saying it, I've probably got the most unselfish group of kids I've ever coached in 15 years. I have to say we might not be basketball 1 kids where that's our top sport, but I have athletic kids who listen, they take instruction, they take criticism, they're complimentary of each other, and they don't really care who gets points. They just really care about winning. And, we try to have a good system in place that kind of helps with mentoring the younger kids. And it all comes down to the kids buying in. And if the group last year wouldn't have bought in, it'd been harder for these kids to buy in. But they did last year. These guys have bought in, and they push each other. And unfortunately, I don't think we've played our best basketball for 4 straight quarters in one game yet. But we have had flashes of it. We have had some close calls. We've lost a couple close games that we should have won. But at the same time, our kids feel pretty confident that on any given night, as long as we're playing for each other, we're prepared, we have a good chance of winning. And that's all you can ask for as a coach.
Well, I've been impressed, and I want to single out one player. I'm sure there's many that you single out, and we'll get to that a little bit. But the play of your big man, Xander Parsons. Now, of course, Ray and I know Xander on the baseball field and playing last year. He played for 253 Legion, and we got to know him as the big power-hitting first baseman. His play has really been a bit of a surprise to me and other observers I've talked to. Xander is second on the team with scoring a little over 10 points a game. He is among the St. Louis Metro leaders in rebounds, and he leads your team in block shot. Talk a little bit about Xander's contribution this year and how important it's been to
Well, when
team.
you have a kid who's 6'6", 265, he does command some attention. I had a lot of people who told me I should be playing Xander and Riley last year together and have some kind of twin tower combination. And Xander really he hadn't had a lot of playing time up to that point. And honest to God, it was really hard to play him and Riley at the same time in a game because of the style of play that we have. But this year he's really came on and really took more of a leadership role. I mean, he seems like a big bad kid at times to other people, but Xander's one of the best kids ever. I mean, he shakes your hand after practice. He's just a joy to be around. He's so positive with the other kids on the team and stuff. And it's just he's a great kid to coach. Now, basketball wise, I mean, like I said, he's getting almost a double every night. And, of course, I think he could rebound a little bit better at times and box out and do things, not just rely on being that big. But when you jump his case, when you get into him, he responds, and that's what you want out of a kid. And I feel like Xander continues to grow as a young man, and if he wants to continue pursuing baseball, I feel like he's going to have that opportunity because he's that kind of kid, and you can coach him up.
Absolutely, and I will personally vouch, and I'm sure Ray will too, about the character of that young man. He's just a great kid all the way around, and as so many of these kids are. But I want to switch it back over to Riley for a second, and we want to talk about the whole team, obviously, and we'll get to that a little bit. But we can't really go any further in talking about your personnel without first addressing and talking about who we voted for Player of the Year, which is in the JCA Small School Girls. Once again, Paige Fowler. Now, Paige, obviously, we know what she can bring to the table. But this year, in my opinion, as I've observed, she's taken on maybe some different roles on your team. I've seen her distribute the ball very well this year to her teammates. And how does her talents best impact the way your team plays, and how has her role evolved over the last few years for you,
there's probably
Coach?
no one that's put more time in the gym than Paige Fowler that I've coached. She's one of those special kids that doesn't come around very often. Coach Miller had that opportunity last year with a couple of his kids, but to me, that's just the bright thing about Paige. Paige puts in the work, the time, and we kind of came to her at the end of last year and told her she's going to have to take on a new responsibility this year. And, she's a young lady that wants to have some aspiration of playing at the next level. And, for her to have success at the next level, we felt like talking to some college coaches that they thought had seen her more at a 2-3 spot instead of a 4-5 spot that she's been playing with us. So, we kind of evolved that role for her and told her that, we needed to put some more work into getting her to be able to shoot a little bit better from behind the arc, as well as be able to, pass the ball and work on that part of her game. And she has definitely done that with this offseason this year, with not having a lot of opportunities to play some summer ball, work on some things. She really worked on some skill stuff within herself to try to make herself better. And to me, that says a lot about who she was. Last year going into this year, and she knew that any given night she's probably going to get everybody's best defender, and she's done a really good job. She started out struggling a little bit at the beginning of the year, but that goes to playing not much basketball in the summer compared to what she's used to. So you take away that, and then once she finally started getting going, she's had a very strong finish to the second part of the year, and hopefully that continues into postseason. But I talk a lot about her leadership on the floor, but I think more importantly, her leadership off the floor is probably one of the most important things about her. She's such an outstanding young lady. Volunteers are a lot of time outside of the school, does a lot of things with the younger community. He works with the YMCA, refs a bunch of the younger kids' games over there, as well as does the summer baseball umpiring. So, there's a lot of things that she does outside of just being a basketball player that I think takes a lot more pride in. I do as well as her coach, that she's doing all those things just to get herself involved in the community, get herself involved in what's around here, and kind of help make a difference in our community. So I tip my hat to her as far as that goes. But I'm gonna miss her when she graduates this year. But I know she's gonna do some great things. I was talking to a college coach today on the phone about her, and I said that that's one of the kids that I remember when I took over the girls program in 2011. That she was sitting at center court with her dad. In second, third grade, engaged in the game at that age. And so to me, that says a lot about who she is. And hopefully, we'll have some news, hopefully down the road here, what college she chooses to play at. But I know that there's a few colleges looking at her, and we want to make the right decision for her. And so, I have my hat up to her, and I'm looking forward to what we can do in the next few weeks with that.
Well, and Paige, if you're watching, well, I know you're watching, Paige, if you're not having to work right now. So as soon as you decide on where you're going to continue your academic and athletic career, please let us know. We want to be the first to know right here on Livestream STL. She's obviously a friend of the show, but one thing that you hit on, her ability this year to draw the defense to her, especially if it's a double team, and then be able to distribute the ball through that, opening up obviously the offense for other players. That's been huge, and that's just one observation from the games that I've been able to watch and work, and I think that's been really impressive.
And I think you're
just
right.
wanted to add that too. But in addition to Paige, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We talked about that the other day. Her stats. She's leading the county in stats and assists per game, and to me that's a huge. Somebody that wasn't a point guard role, was a post player, and is leading that category. Is something that maybe is to me is the highlight stat of the year for her. Just because she's taken on that new role and decided that she's going to fill that part of her game, and so it's awesome to see, and hopefully that helps her at the next level.
That's excellent. Well, we've talked about Paige quite a bit on the show, and that obviously Paige is a big cog in the wheel, but she's not the only one that you have. Talk about some of your other players, Coach Blair, that have
another
made big
senior
contributions
that I
for you
found
this
has
season.
really had a really great year for us, and that's Emily Weesey. She's kind of developed her outside game a little bit more efficiently this year, and she's been able to shoot the three for us, and had some success at it. And she started out once again, shooting pretty well early. Went through a little slump here, maybe the last 2 weeks, but Saturday we entered Perry County and took on the St. Vincent Indians, and she started out the game making 4 threes. So that I think she's found her rhythm again. But I'm just thankful for her at being a senior, and she's been able to find that rhythm, and hopefully moving into the postseason time that she's playing her best basketball as well. She's definitely come on along really well this year, and a value point of our offense. The other young lady that I could say is a value part of our team is Macy Pilliard inside, our post player. She's really developed her game as far as her physicality inside. She's definitely a pretty solid offensive person, but I want to say that her best asset is her defensive mentality. I mean, you come inside that paint, her hands are straight up, and she does a really good job of defending the basketball in the post. And that's you walk and drive into the lane and try to shoot over her arms with a 7-foot wingspan, really straight up and down. It's a pretty tough shot to make. So I think she's done a great job for us. And then I want to say that there's 4 or 5 other girls, but I think I don't want to speculate to say any certain names, because I think they've all had valuable roles for us this season across the board. And so, but those 3 girls are leading us in stats as far as a whole. But I think that to me, there's Paige.
Hi.
See that, Jeff?
Hi, Paige.
Wow, I did not know that was coming. So, I think as far as our team goes, I think we've got some very well-rounded individuals on the backside of our team that are playing some very important roles for us. And I think that's going to make a huge difference for us down the stretch here. And, hopefully we can make some noise in postseason here.
Well, I appreciate those answers. Now I know why you're being so flattering to Paige there, so complimentary.
I did not know she was here either.
In the room with you.
Now I will get that she lives in the same subdivision as I do, so there's probably a good reason why she probably was listening to the show. So she does live in the subdivision.
Well, at least we know she's out and about and trying to get healthy. So that's well, Coach Miller, you don't have Xander Parson or Nate Rubel hanging over your head right now.
God, I hope
you
not.
Talk about your team.
Keep me out of a house and home, probably.
You better look up, Coach, if you're going to say that. So you can't
Yeah,
look
that's
down.
true.
Yeah. Wouldn't want to feed them, that's for sure. Coach Miller, likewise with Coach Blair, because we've talked about Xander, but talk about some of the key players for your team this year. Obviously, Nate Rubel just went off in the third quarter the other night and broke that game open for the Lancers against R7, and obviously we know his talents and skills, and we know that he's going to be playing some sort of sport at the next level as well. But talk about your squad a little bit and some of the key contributions you're getting from.
Well, I mean, I got to
guys.
start with my seniors, because I think a lot of people looked at as many of them have, and people have came up and told me, just saying, what are you going to do when all those guys graduate from last year's team? And these guys have really done a great job of stepping up. I mean, you talked about Xander, and look at a kid like Mikey Bollinger, who's, a lot of people remember Mikey for hitting the shot in the district championship game that helped us go ahead and take the lead. But I mean, he's had to do a lot. He might have to play guard one day, might have to play post. There's been a couple times where he's actually guarded the best player. And when you look at him and say, okay, which one of you guys wants this kid? Mikey's one of the first ones to say, hey, I got him, coach. And he's made some big plays for us this year. And then you look at Chase Martin, who didn't get a chance to play as much last year as Mikey did, or even as Xander, and was just kind of a role player coming off the bench. And Chase has been kind of the ultimate role player, whether he needs to be the guy who guards one of the best players or he's a guy who takes up some of the scoring for us. He's sometimes it's unorthodox, but I think he's really grown and matured as a young man, and he plays with such with a chip on his shoulder. I will say that, and he really wants to win, and that's even all these kids. They just really want to win. So it's hard to pick and point and say which one in particular. And then, as you mentioned, Nate, who had career high 31 points against your Jefferson R7 Blue Jays, and I kind of say that a little bit here for Jeff, but he's just one of those kids that obviously he brings a lot of intangibles from football, and he's one of those kids that you can tell to do something and it's yes sir, and he does everything you say and tries to do it to the highest level, and that's just kind of like all these guys across the board. And our Will Whelan's been our starting point guard for every single game this year. Having to replace Caden Cook's kind of a big deal. And Will's not really a point guard, and he'll be probably the first one to tell you. And he has had his struggles at times, but just being asked to do something that you're not accustomed to doing, and trying to take that on and to do it to the best for the team is something that I really appreciate. And of course, we've put him on team's best guard at times too, and not having him at the end of the game against R7 kind of showed when Kobe Ott got a little hot and scored 17 points in the fourth quarter.
Colby made.
Yeah, he sure did. I mean, it looked like he couldn't miss.
Sure.
I think he shot one backwards and made it, and
it's
looking at the goal. But at the same time, I mean, having a kid like Will out there playing defense and then just bringing the intensity. It's one thing if you ask these kids who the best player is on the team, I don't think any of them would ever say themselves. I think they just kind of they don't really look for the spotlight as much as they do just trying to defer to the next guy. And a lot of times you're asking one or two of them to be, hey, why don't you step up and be the man here and score a little bit more? And they're just kind of, like, I mean, I'm just looking for the other guy, coach. It's like, all right, well, we can't complain there too much. So, and of course we've had a lot of different guys coming off the bench, whether it's picking up some key rebounds and playing some good defense in particular times. I've got a handful of post players that they come in. They might not get a lot of playing time, but a couple of them might play significant minutes. If things are working, I don't really try to fix things if they're not broke. So if they're in the game and we're doing well, I just kind of let it ride. And a lot of those guys will kind of rotate in. And as I tell them, they're all juniors. Guys, you just got to find your footing here, and maybe that'll parlay into some more playing time next year. And they've all been really, really good about it. They could still come to practice and they work hard and they kind of understand that role. And then we've had a couple of guards that have been underclassmen that have been asked to do a lot and have big minutes too. So that's been kind of our season in a nutshell. I mean, we rely on those starters, but at the same time, we're only as good as those kids who can come in and help and fix things, as I like to say. If you're coming off the bench into the game, you're coming in to fix something. You're not just coming in just because there's something you need to do that's not working right or whatever you got to do. Just get in there and play your butt off and then come out of the game. And they've been really playing for each other. And I guess that's just the culture that we've created over there, and it's really working well for us.
Well, I joked with you last year when you came to St. Pius that you've been handed the keys to a Porsche or a Jaguar. This year, I think you were handed the keys to maybe a huge 4-wheel drive pickup truck. But you know what? It got you from point A to point B, just like
I'll tell you what, in the snow right now, it's good to have a four-wheel drive truck.
I think well, and I think that makes the job that you've done this year even more remarkable with these guys, and it's not only that, it's a testament to your coaching, but also
it's all
the character
kids.
of your kids as
they
well.
come out and they work. I don't take any credit for any of that stuff. They're the ones who do it. I just enjoy coaching them. Sometimes I'm the guy who gets a little out of control and lose my head, but those are the kids that do it, and any of the wins they get credit for. I get credit for the losses. So I'm 0-4. They're 12-0.
Well, one thing is for sure that was nice. Nate Ribble got his revenge on Colby for the football season. So that two teams, two rivals like that. Usually, the way it works out is if one wins in football, the other one will win in basketball. And obviously, these kids know each other as much as they beat on each other and trash talk one another. They're all good friends afterwards. And
that was kind of the fun part about Friday, was having that game, and the kids all know each other. They've been around each other. They've played sports together for years, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether it's baseball. And there was a lot of chatter going on the court, but at the same time, 4 technicals later, I'm not really sure how much of it was very heated. I think it was just some kids are wanting to compete, and it was a fun game. I mean, I didn't like a couple of things that happened in it, but it was a fun game to coach. And the kids, I know that at the end of the game, they're all hugging each other, so it wasn't like there was any kind of fisticuffs happening and anything. I mean, they're just trying to compete. But when you got people officiating, they're not from around the area, I guess, and don't really know the kids and the schools as much. It's going to happen. So,
right.
I mean, you tell the kids, like, look, you got to be smart enough to know the difference here between talking and shutting your mouth. When the referee says you got to shut your mouth, you got to do it. So, it's hard for the kids. I mean, they're 15, 16, 17 years old in the heat of the moment. And, hell, it's even hard for a guy who's 37 years old in the heat of the moment. He's going to lose his head.
I was going to say, hard for me as well. And Coach Blair, that might be the difference in coaching boys and girls as far as, beating on each other, being physical, and then being nice to each other after the game. I don't know if that works as much on the girls' side.
I think there may be too many feelings going on there for that to happen.
Coach Miller, we talked about your team a little bit. Let me ask you one question. Whose play, as you've gone through the season now and you look back, go, hey, this guy kind of surprised me with his effort, with his skill on the court, with how hard he's worked and improved. Name somebody that you kind of now that you're looking back at it, kind of raised your eyebrow.
I mean, I got to start with Chase Martin because, like I said, he didn't get a lot of playing time last year, and when you're kind of penciling in your depth chart, you're kind of looking and seeing what you feel like these kids are going to be able to do next year. And I honestly wasn't 100% sold on what Chase was going to be able to do for us. I knew that he had a skill set, obviously being a soccer player, and I thought he could be a little bit stronger. So I wasn't very sure of what he was going to do for us for our team. But this off season, he really hit the weight room. He worked on his game, and he came out for football. And I thought that really did a lot for him. Not to say that soccer wasn't important, but at the same time, we have a lot more football kids playing basketball than we do soccer. So he was able to kind of jive and mesh with a little bit of those kids that play basketball and football both. And I think on top of that, he just really matured as a young man, and he was able to bring some leadership skills that I really wasn't sitting there saying, like, if I had a team captain right now, because we don't get to do the captain's talks anymore, that it was going to be Chase necessarily. But Chase has been the kind of the kid that if they ask who my speaking captain is, I'll tell them it's Chase. And he's done a good job for us and filled a lot of roles, and was pretty much a surprise for me.
Must be the headband.
I don't want to talk about his hair. That's probably the one thing. I mean, I'm proud of the kid. Don't get me wrong, but I'll tell you what, I would love to just chop that hair right off his head, because I hate seeing that headband and him fixing his hair. Practice is just a mess. But as long as he's working hard and stuff, I'll just let it go.
I know it's
one of those things you just don't need to battle anymore.
It's the style. not worth it. No, that's for sure. Well, Coach Blair, what about you? What's maybe one player that you've looked at this year and looking back and go, how? They've really come a long way. They've really kind of surprised me with what they've been able to do on the court or even off the court with their effort.
I have probably two of them that I would say has kind of stepped up a little bit for us this year and took on a role. First, I'll say that Madison Lawson at our point guard position. I mean, you can't say enough about our point guard for the last 4 years in Taylor Metcalf and what she was able to do, on and off the court as far as leadership and just seeing the floor so well, doing so many of the little things right, and always, having the ball in the right spot, the right time, the right pass. I mean, you name it, she probably had done it multiple times and out throughout her 4-year career with us. But Madison Lawson has taken on that role for us as our starting point guard, and that was not a tough role, not an easy role to fill, really. And I thought struggled early in the year, but she stepped back a little bit, and we've had a lot of conversations, our coaching staff and her, about what her role really is, and she's taken on that role, and she's somebody that I'm looking very highly upon here at the later part of the season, as well as moving forward to her senior year next year. But she has definitely done a really good job for us distributing the basketball, taking care of the basketball, and I'm looking forward to her getting much better with it and moving forward into next year. The other young lady that I got tore her ACL last year, didn't get to play for us. Moved over here, and that's Maddie Deering. She started out the year for us in our first game and had a really great game against Sykeston, done some really nice things for us, and then kind of found a little bit of a lull there, but then she's came on really well here the last couple of weeks, and she's taken on her role. Her and I had a really good conversation, just about what her role was and that she just needed to get out there and play the game of basketball. And I thought she's done that really good job of that for us, taking on that fifth starting spot for us, and just really decided that, she wanted to do something special here. And, I'm so excited for her after the game, Saturday. She was all smiles, winning that conference title, something that she has not been able to do. And just to see her smile, says a lot about who she is and, the desire to want to have success. And she's another kid that works on her game constantly, just lives in the gym, wants to get better, just wants to make that, do the right thing and make that extra play or whatever it takes to get the job done. And so, those two young ladies I think have stepped up this year and taken on a role. Another young lady that really has kind of been off and on for us. She's had to deal with some COVID issues as well as dealing with a concussion here recently, and that's Kirsten Britton. Another young lady that I thought would play a very huge role for us, and she just hasn't been able to get in a rhythm with all these injuries and COVID instances. But hopefully getting her back Saturday and hopefully getting back into a full swing of things here in last week, that she can be another value point for us offensively going down the stretch.
Well, you're certainly your program, not only your varsity program, but on down the line, you're certainly blessed with a lot of depth. And I've just to echo what you said about Deering, I've really enjoyed the way she's played at times this year, and I like her competitive spirit as well. I think that's a big part of it. And she may not be the best football player in the family, but she's got a good claim to the best basketball player.
I would think that. So if you probably
family,
asked her brother that, he'd probably tell you that too. He'll probably tell you he can shoot better than her. But I mean, she's such a hard-nosed kid, and she's I think she's come on really strong here as of late, and I'm looking forward to what she can do now that she's been in our program a full year now and moving into her senior year next year.
Well, we're just to let folks know, we're referring to Jackson Deering, Eddie Deering's brother, and the starting quarterback for the Herculaneum Black Cat football team. His first year as a starter last year, did a fine job for the Black Cats. Ray, if you're there, do we need to take a break, or can we keep going? We don't even know if Ray's here. He's gone. We've taken over the show, gentlemen. Oh, there he is.
I'm here. My microphone was having a hard time coming up. We can go ahead and keep going here. Just go ahead and wrap it up here. We're running it right at the hour. So, wrap these guys up. And we will let you guys know we're working on another Main Street Sports tomorrow night as well. I'm not sure if Jeff's going to be available, but I am, and I'm working on getting some coaches prepped and ready to go. So we'll have another one tomorrow night as well. Shameless plug. Go right ahead there, Jeff.
All right. Well, my last question for both of you guys obviously has to deal with the district seedings. Coach Blair, Class 4, moving up Class 4 this year. You're in District 2, and unfortunately, you're in there with an extremely good St. Genevieve team and a pretty darn good Park Hill Central team, too. Talk about your first round opponent a little bit, which I believe is Fredericktown, and what are your team goals and expectations for your team for the tournament?
We found out Saturday on our seating meeting that we were going to open up with Fredericktown. Ultimately that's our only focus right now. You can't play to live another day until you beat that team. So we're going to have to come ready to play against Fredericktown. They've been bitten this year with the COVID bug. They've been out, he told me, a total of a month throughout this season out with COVID. So they've been really struggling to get any kind of rhythm at any point during the season. Come in 2 weeks, go out 2 weeks, come in 2 weeks, go out 2 weeks. So, I know that Coach will have their team ready to go come next Saturday. So, I know that they're the 6th seed in our district, but they're not a 6th seed in our district. They're a very good team. They're a very well coached team. They're going to give us everything we want and some, I'm sure, next Saturday. So, ultimately that's all we need to focus on right now. Those first two teams that you mentioned in St. Genevieve and Park Hills, man, they're just two quality basketball teams, very well coached basketball teams. Got a lot of talent on those two teams, and at some point this season, for a multiple time, Park Hills Central was ranked number 1 in the state in Class 4. So, they're no slouch. And then, St. Gen was able to knock them off about 2 weeks ago to win the conference title down there at Max. So, I just think that both of those two teams are so good. We're going to have to come ready to play if we were able to advance on to the next round after Saturday against Park Hills. We're just going to have to take care of our own self. And I talked about that every single day. From here on out, we got to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of doing what else the other team's doing. So, that's kind of been our focus, and that's going to be our focus here moving into district play is, hey, just take care of ourselves, take care of the little things, and then hopefully the big things will take care of themselves. So, if any of our girls are listening, that's the mentality we're taking, and they know that, and hopefully they're kind of drilling into that for the next week and a half here before we start opening up next Saturday.
Well, and we here at live stream, and Ray's probably not patched in right now, but we obviously will be following the Lady Black Cats very closely, and hopefully covering as many games as we can, as we hope to with the St. Pius Lancer boys and Coach Miller. And Coach, your Class 3 District 4, it's like a wholesale change as far as district teams this year. The only team that's in there that's from last year, I believe, is Jefferson in that district. You find yourself, like you said, going up and hosting McKinley, who to me is a total wild card. You have the same situation. They've been out with the COVID restrictions in the city and the county and eligibility issues. As I look over their roster, they seem to have one or two very, very good athletes, but they don't have a lot of depth. They haven't had a lot of guys that have been able to play. I'm only counting 5 or 6 guys that have really had any playing minutes for the gold bugs. They call them the gold bugs now, whatever that is, whatever a gold bug is. But what are you concerned most about Saturday,
well, I mean,
Coach?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. We just don't. There's not a lot of film out there on them. They haven't had a lot of games. You're not really sure what you're going to get. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. I think I heard somebody say once, and it's just not really. I'm just not sure exactly. We haven't really sat down with the coaches and really figured out what we really want to do. Our strategy yet. If we get a chance to meet together, we will. But that's just one of those things when it comes to getting those teams that you get drawn in your district. The top 2 seeds have losing records, but I think those are 2 of the best teams schedule-wise for having those kinds of records in the state. When you're talking about DeBerg and Lift for Life,
Sure.
DeBerg I think is 5-7, and Lift for Life is 6-11. And they've played some teams that we don't get to have on our schedule and they play really competitive. So they have talent, and even Carnahan, McKinley, those schools all have talent and kids that really want to play basketball. So I just hope that we can come out on Saturday and have a chance to compete, and we'll have a good game plan put together, and hopefully we can execute. I feel like if we execute and play good defense and do the things that we're supposed to do, we'll come out on top. And if not, hey, hopefully they get the best version of us. That's all you can ask for.
Well, as you said, you can only come out and be concerned about the play of your own team, and as the game dictates, if you're able to make the adjustments at halftime like you did last week against Jefferson, you should be in good shape. That's for sure. But guys, really appreciate you coming out or spending time with us tonight and on this snowy, frigid evening. And I'm hoping that we can all get back to the basketball courts real soon. One snow day is nice and everything, but after that, it's time to move on and get back to the routine. But gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on today. Hopefully, I made this as painless as possible, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next.
I think that's tomorrow night, maybe after Main Street Sports.
All right.
And
well,
Jeff,
I
do
will
want
be
to
tuning
say
in
thank
as
you.
usual.
I know you've been kind of a little bit under the weather the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we miss seeing you out there and involved, and I know that you miss it probably just as much as we miss seeing you. So appreciate everything you've done for the county and for all the athletes in our county. I mean, it's not just one school. I know you're affiliated out with one, but you're affiliated with all of them. I know you take pride in all of our athletes here in the county. So once again, I want to say appreciate that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I had my
thank
microphone
you.
off earlier.
My wife would be in agreement. She would like to get me out of the house.
I just like how Blair's face is frozen right now on the camera. Anybody see that? It's good stuff.
Yeah.
There it is. All you see
This is the way it needs to be. Just keep it there.
That's all you see is these little things here, and that's
Garrett.
okay.
It's like a mug shot.
Yeah, it's the power of technology, right? Right. So I just wanted, while you guys are on here real quick, so we'll give you guys, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what's on tap for tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night we are going to do another Main Street Sports. Coaches are to be determined. I do have a couple in line here. I'm waiting to hear back from Jason Therrell from Festus and also Zeb Hammond from DeSoto. Also Phil Tessero from Crystal City. I believe those are going to be our three, and we might actually get a few more in. So I'll get with you, Jeff, once we get that lined up. But I wanted to also just let everybody know what's going on for our February Madness. That's what's going on. That actually starts this Saturday, the 20th. And we open up with St. Pius. We're going to have that McKinley-St. Pius game. 4:45 p.m. is our pregame. So that'll be Saturday at 4:45 there. Yes, sir.
Ray, I got to stop you, man. It's at 3 o'clock.
It's at 3 o'clock?
The game is at 3 o'clock. Yep.
Well, then we're going to make that 2:45 because I saw it at a different time, and I apologize. So, and I'm glad you told me that. I'm totally glad you told me that. So there. So 2:45, and I'm kind of glad that worked out. So 2:45, that will be Saturday. And again, I know some of these schedules may even change between now and game time. So that's just the way COVID is doing us right now. Monday, February 22nd, and I'll throw this up here. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Coach Miller. This is ladies action here. We have the winner, I believe, of McKinley and Jefferson will take on the Lady Lancers Monday at 6:45. That's supposed to be a 7 o'clock start from what I've been told. Is that correct, sir?
I think so.
Okay.
I know more about my game because.
Well, I know. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Moving on, Tuesday, we have, this is gentlemen, the boys action here. Crystal City will be hosting, again, that's another to be determined. They move on to the semifinals. That'll be February 23rd. 5:45 is our pregame. And then we'll be back over there again Wednesday, the 24th, for ladies action, 5:45 as well. These are all playoff games, and we will throw out the particular links once we have those. We just got word that we're able to do these, and then we'll wrap up next Saturday, February 27th. We'll be over at Herculaneum High School as the Fredericktown Black Cats come to town. That'll be at 5:45. Is that correct, Mr. Riley Blair? 5:45? 6? You got
Actually,
6
they moved it up to 5 o'clock. So
oh lordy!
4:45.
So 4:45.
Yeah,
we'll go 4:45. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. You know, it's just one of those things that the days and the age that we live in. So if we have schedule changes, we will let everybody know ahead of time and get all those squared away. So Jeff, thanks for hosting, and we're glad you're back.
That game with Jeff on the girls' side
Thank you
is
very
the winner
much.
of Jefferson DeBerg plays St. Pius.
Jefferson DeBerg. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I was trying to remember what that was. So that is our show here for Main Street Sports. And Jeff, again, thank you so much for being back. And Coach Miller, Coach Blair, we appreciate you guys being on as well.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. For all of us here at Livestream STL and Main Street
Thanks,
Sports,
guys.
we will have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow night.